Hi, my name is Charity Hagenaars, and for those of you who've never heard of me, 6 months ago I quit my job and my family and I packed up our 3 cats, 3 kids, 5 backpacks, 12 suitcases, and a 20-foot shipping container, and we left the Canadian snow behind. We took a huge leap of faith and moved our family to El Salvador. And now that we've been here for 6 months, let me tell you our opinions about living in this tropical paradise. Keep watching to find out how our lives have changed. I'll also give you an update on our monthly living expenses and share with you our journey, what we've observed, what we love, and what are still some challenges we have in this beautiful country. Buenas tardes, mis amigos, y benedicciones para todos ustedes. Good afternoon, my friends, and blessings to you all. Welcome to my channel if you're new here, and welcome back if we're already old friends. So we're going to start again with our people and culture section. And this month we've had a lot of visitors. We already had a lady visiting us on a scouting trip from Canada. I think she's from Montreal. And we had lunch with her at a restaurant and showed her our home. And we had a really good conversation about our lives in El Salvador. And later that same day, we had another couple from the United States that were coming to live in El Salvador. They were building a home, actually. He was from here, but they lived in the States. And they're moving their whole family here. And, they had questions and stuff about the immigration process. And we had an amazing time. It was really great talking with them. We have another Canadian coming to visit us on March break in a couple of weeks, and I can't wait to meet her in person. We've been talking a lot back and forth through WhatsApp, so it's going to be great having her here. We can chat in person. So we've become the boots in the ground people for the ones who want to move here, and the welcome to El Salvador for the ones who came before us. I mentioned in my last video that on Thursday last week, after I'd woken Willem up and after not sleeping much that night, I was going to go back to bed for another little nap, and then the doorbell rang and somebody was at the door and they were speaking English. He was from here, but he was living in LA and had moved back here. And, he and his wife live in this community, recognize the house or whatnot, and just came to see if we needed anything. So the people here are just so amazing. Always want to know if there's any way that they can help. So thank you so much. Hope we can meet up soon, actually. And when Annika and I got our hair done, the ladies at the salon were so nice to us, offering us something to drink, some water, coffee, whatnot. And they were just really, really kind to us. I just find a lot of people here, they just really give their hearts and they really want to help and be kind to people. The doctor at the clinic I went to was really nice to me. The doctors at Chivo Pets are really nice to me. The people that run the pet store where we got our medication for our cat, very nice to us. The guy who delivers our gas is very nice to us. I just find all in all, people here are very kind and friendly. And I know people say Canadians are friendly, but I can honestly say I never really had that same reaction with people in Canada. It is different here. Last week, I started teaching English at the school the kids go to, and the teacher who I met up with in the morning, she didn't speak any English at all, but she was so kind to me, telling the class I was there to speak English and, asking if I needed any dry erase markers or whatever. She just was really nice to me. People here are just nice. The guy who's going to build our custom furniture was really nice to us. And last week, I was told, thank goodness the day before, that I had to be at the school to pick up the kids' books. And I think they said from 8 o'clock until noon or something they had for the first group of kids. And then for the afternoon kids, I had to come back at 1 o'clock. So for the first group of kids, we were just waiting around because it took a while for them to get the books organized and have them brought to the classrooms. There was a man there who spoke English, which was great. So we had really good conversations. And Lawrence's teacher came up and wanted to tell me something, so he translated. And then when we went into Annika's class, her teacher wanted to tell me something, so this guy translated for me as well. It was just really nice that he would do that for me. It made communication a lot easier, especially since I had to really hear what the teachers were saying. If you've been watching my monthly updates, which we started at 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and now 6 months, I always give you what our cost of living is per month here in El Salvador. So let's go over those costs. So from January 20th to February 20th, these are my expenses. I have $600. That's our rent plus our $35 per month we have for the security in this complex. Our electricity bill, I said last month that it was the average at $78.61. That's the average because the monthly bill for December was $40.60 and the monthly bill for January was $116 something. So I realized that the December bill was just an estimate and the January bill was an actual. And because of that, I gave you what the average was, which makes sense. However, many of you commented, oh, the government's going to pay for your electric bill because it's under $80. Well, it wasn't for January. It was actually $116. So no, the government did not pay for our electricity. It wasn't covered like many of you had said, but anyway, that's fine. The water was, though. The water bill was about $3.50 thereabouts. I can't remember the exact bill now, but it was covered. It was actually $0 for us because the government was going to pay, I think, up to $10 for the water bill for the month of January for everyone, which was really nice. Our drinking water, I'm putting that as an approximate because it's probably only off by 1 or 2 of the 5-gallon jugs. So that's $62 a month we spend on drinking water. Cooking gas, I had to get a refill for my gas this month, so that's $12 for the refill. Our internet's $32.98 from Tico. Now for cell phones, because the kids are now going to school full time, I got them all a $12 package. And I got myself the $15 package because sometimes I go over. The way the package goes for the $12, it's 10 gigabytes and so much is for social media and so much is for just browsing. Because I'm doing these videos and it uploads to the cloud while I'm out doing the video, I'm spending less on social media and more on just, the regular use of data. So I switched the plan around. It's the same 10 gigabytes, but I got the $15 plan last month and I got the same one for this month. I think that's going to be better because I was actually going over the limit and then running out of data, 3 or 4 days left to go for the month. So the $15 package is better for me. For groceries this month, I have $562.31. That includes a trip to PriceSmart where I bought another one of those $100 shelving units. So for the food, technically it's only $462, which is 100 and something every week if you broke it down. I think most of that groceries was the PriceSmart order, and we had a big meat order we did, which was around $114, I think that was. And then there was a $20 trip to like the market to get fruits and vegetables. So it actually is pretty good. It's not like we have no food in the house. At the end of the month, it just means, there's certain things I want to stock up on. Like I never run out of rice or rice flour, corn flour, that kind of stuff. And I never ran out of chocolate chips, or we had already bought enough milk in the freezer. I think there's still like 4 gallons of milk in the freezer from before. So it's not like we're out of food at the end of the month. It just, we want to stockpile some of those items, especially the meat order, because our last meat order we actually got on Black Friday in November. So we were eating that meat for a long time. We did get some hamburgers at PriceSmart. So, we actually only ate the hamburgers last week. So they still lasted most of the month, I'd say, because this actually is the new month already. Okay, for the donations, I have $10 because I have opened up a fundraiser for the school parking lot, and I opened up another wallet, and I just moved the money around to make sure I was doing it correctly and had the right link and everything. So that's that $10 is. Just want to make sure it worked before I gave it to anyone else. And for school, I have $175.90. Now, this is a second uniform for everyone because the government did give them one uniform. So this is the second uniform plus a few notebooks we got before the school actually gave us notebooks last week. I'd already picked up some graph paper because that's what my son needed for his math class. And the other thing is the busing. The busing is $22.50 per child per month. So that's already $67.50 just for the busing. So I think it was $56 for the uniforms and whatnot. So it's not that expensive really. And for Willems also the busing, it's $5 for every Friday. So that's actually $20 for the month on top of the $67. So it's about $87.50 then just for the busing for the month for the kids. So that is a big chunk of that money. Eating out was $196.47. We had several long trips with Stan. I know I showed you some where we were furniture shopping and went out to the Ministry of Education and different things we had to do. There's a lot of big trips this past month. Long days out driving around. So we always stop and have lunch or dinner depending on the time. For entertainment, this is sort of like my Amazon Prime, Netflix, online subscriptions, that kind of stuff. I still have those here, $76.99. Now, household goods is kind of pricey this month because it's $957.24, but $600 of that is actually for the custom furniture that we're having made that I had to put down a $600 deposit. So it was really only $350, and I know that some of that was my trips to the dollar store. I have a couple of trips there to the dollar store. I just threw that under household goods, even if there was a few other different things there, right? Transportation, $155. Again, like I said, lots of trips with Stan this month. Medical, $56.96. That's one of my prescriptions I was able to find here in El Salvador that I hadn't. Took me 6 months to find it, mind you. It was not the same name. It's a little harder to find, but once I found it, I was like, now I know what it's called. And that was the price of one of those inhalers. For pets, it's $23.60. Now, one of my cats, again, got hurt by probably barbed wire, and I had to get some medication for him. Now, Chivo Pets didn't give me any medicine this time. I don't know if things are different now because Bitcoin's no longer a legal tender. I still paid a Bitcoin, but maybe they're not doing the medications, or maybe they just didn't have any because I was there on a Tuesday night. I'm not sure what the deal was. So I reached out to a pet store nearby, and I had to get antibiotics and painkillers, and they brought me those. Yeah, I think it was just the painkillers and the antibiotics they brought me. I think that was $16. I also had picked up some soap and some bandages for him, and I already had cream left over from when Grebo was hurt. So that was $23.60, including the 25 cents that I paid in Bitcoin at Chivo Pets for the appointment. So that gives us a total of $3,063.06. Now remember, $600 of that is a furniture deposit, so that's $2,463.06. And also $100 of that is the shelving unit we bought at PriceSmart smart to put in our cupboard where the tools are. So I guess take that off again. So we're closer to $2,363, and that was the month. So under food, I did mention last time we eat out at Pollo Campero a lot. And I know it's not true Salvadorian. You don't need to put that in the comments. However, my kids love it, and it is pretty inexpensive for a family meal. I think the last bill we had was $37, and that was the 12-piece of chicken with the french fries and the pizza and the drinks, because we ate in at that time. And when we take out, sometimes because you don't get the drinks for the takeout, so you just get 2 of the 8-packs with the chicken and the french fries. Now, you can substitute the coleslaw, or the salad, I guess you call it, but it's coleslaw. You could substitute that for french fries. We did that last time because none of us are big fans of coleslaw, but the kids like more french fries, so we got that. So for the takeout orders, we're spending about $45. Eating in's about $37, and that includes the drinks, but it's a little bit, it's 4 pieces less of chicken for less fries or whatever, that kind of thing. And if we want pizza, we go to Pizza Sicilia or Italy Pizza. Those are the 2 that I found on the Pettidosia app that are nearby here that are not very expensive at all. So if we're going to eat out, that's what we get. However, I have found a new restaurant for us. One day Stan and I were out and we were going to stop for dinner or lunch, I can't remember, and he mentioned Saint Martin. So I thought, oh, okay, let's try this new restaurant. I haven't eaten here before. And it was really, really good. I had the pasta. It was like a half pasta, half salad lunch, and it was the Florentine sauce. And he said they make really good breakfasts with that Florentine sauce. So when the girl came from Montreal that was visiting, I suggested we stop there to have our lunch. And at that time, I also got a nice iced coffee. The time before I had cappuccinos, so they have good hot and cold coffee. They had a Valentine special on that time and included the dessert at the end. So that's what my husband and I got when we were meeting with the lady. And that was all really good. So I highly recommend if you haven't eaten at Saint Martin that you go there because the food is really good. It's a little bit pricier than I'd say like the Pollo Campero, but it's not super expensive. And it was really good quality food. So I really enjoyed being there. So this past month when I got the meat order, I also got pork chops. Now, I haven't had pork chops until that meat order here. And normally I always make my pork chops with cream of mushroom soup. And I don't know if there's any canned soup in this country. I've not seen any. Probably at Price Mart because they've imported a lot of stuff. I just haven't really looked for like the gigantic cans of soup there. But yeah, I normally make it that way, so I've had to come up with some creative ways to make it, including with apples, because pork and apples goes really good together. I'm getting very good at ordering meat at the deli counter, and it's always by pound. And they usually have, okay, well, it's $2.95 for a pound of chicken, but if you're going to get over 4 pounds, it's only $2.75 a pound. So I always go for the better deal because my background's Scottish and my husband's Dutch. What do I have to say here? And I always ask them to put so many pounds per bag. So I said, I want 12 pounds of ground beef, but I want 2 pounds per bag. And I think I'm always getting the same guy at the deli counter. And I think he's understanding me, my methods. I don't know if everyone else does it this way, but because I want to kind of divide it up into meals, I like to have the same amount per bag. Also, I don't want it all frozen as one big lump because when I come home, I just put it in the freezer. I don't want to have to then rebag it. So he bags them for me. I tell him I want 2 pounds, 2 libras para bolsa. That's what I tell him. And then he puts it all together and puts a big price tag on it. So I got ground beef and chicken, and this last time I got pork chops. And normally I get the deli meat the same way. Whatever the deli meat is on sale, I'll tell him I want 5 pounds of that, and I want a pound per bag, and then we freeze those by bag and we take them out, and that's the kids make their sandwiches with these. Usually it's like a picnic ham, that kind of idea. And this month every time Stan and I were out, we were gone all day, and by the time we came back it was dark and it wasn't a great time to go fruit and vegetable shopping. So one day I said, okay, if you're going to come by and drop something off for me tomorrow, here's $20, go get me some fruits and vegetables on your way, because it's best to get them earlier in the day before they've been sitting out in the sun all day. And I've learned if you are going to buy some and they're already in bags, don't get the ones already in bags, because if you get tomatoes that have been sitting in a bag in the sun and they've been there for hours, and then you get them home, or maybe you put them in the trunk of the car before you get home and you run into the mall and you've done a few things and you come out, then your tomatoes are like tomato soup, right? You want to get them fresh, literally right off the back of the truck. I've seen tomatoes falling off the back of a truck, and put them in the bag at the time you're purchasing them and get them home quickly and get them in the refrigerator. So Stan got us, I think it was like 2 bags of tomatoes, 2 bags of potatoes, 2 pineapples, oranges, onions, cucumbers. Oh my gosh, he brought us so many cucumbers. I'll never be able to eat all those cucumbers. There must be 45 cucumbers in that bag. Anyway, I gave him $20 to spend, and he came with tons of groceries for us that we're still eating. And that was like 2 weeks ago now that we've been eating these vegetables. And I actually own avocados. I made a nice guacamole with some tomatoes and different stuff. So like a guacamole plus a salsa together. I have my chips, every now and again when I have a snack. That was pretty good. I also have bananas from our tree ready, and our papayas. Our gardener came by the other day. Second time we've had him. He climbed up on the ladder and pulled a papaya down for me and got it ready for me. So I had some of the pineapple the other day. That's the first pineapple we had here. I'm going to cut some papaya. We're going to make fruit salad or something. And, we have lots of, cucumbers and tomatoes left for another salad. We have lots and lots of food to eat here. There is no trouble getting fresh fruit and vegetables. So much better than in Canada, which everything is imported and traveled so long before it even turned ripe. This is way better. We're eating so much healthier here with a lot fresher food. That's the one thing I can say I noticed the most. In Canada, when we would go get groceries, we often would get a few of those, convenience foods, the frozen lasagnas or whatever, the TV dinners, put a few of those in the freezer. And if you don't want to cook one night, just get those. Or even canned food, right? Canned vegetables, peas and carrots and corn, that kind of stuff. Or frozen. We get those frozen or canned in Canada. I don't have any of those things here. We did have a couple of cans of peas, and I might have one left. And when we were in the Airbnb, I would get a couple of cans of peas and corn to add to our pasta. But I haven't really done that here. And sometimes I've just used the tomatoes to make my own pasta sauce as well. Like just eating fresher, healthier food here. It's way better for you. And the one thing I want to mention, last time we went to PriceSmart, we went to the one in Santa Ana instead of the other one, which I think is Santa Elena. And it's a little further away from here, but there's like no traffic. It actually took way less time to get there. It was a nice, easy ride. No stressed out bumper to bumper traffic. Excellent. The only issue I found was that I went to get the cheese, and maybe this would have been regardless of which PriceSmart you went to. They didn't have the Monterey Jack. They only had mozzarella in the brick and the shredded, which is I got the shredded one. And what they did have is what they said was American cheese, which is really just cheddar in slices like a Kraft single, that size, but it was real cheddar. And there was a pack of them like maybe this high. There was 3 stacks, and we love those because they're great for a grilled cheese sandwich, or we had them on our hamburgers when we made our hamburgers last week. So I highly recommend going to the PriceSmart in Santa Ana. It looks newer too, and the parking lot's a good size, and it just looks nicer inside. Like it must be a newer store, and they have pretty much all the same stuff and less stress to get there and back. Under safety and security, most of you know now that our kids are in public school here, so I don't fear for their safety here. And I have heard stories about things in the past of public school, so I'm not being naive here. There really is nothing to worry about now. El Salvador is a very safe country. I'd say safer than Canada, to be honest. The only concern I'd have with the school right now is the parking lot situation because of just the traffic going by. And speaking of traffic, a few things happened here from December and January. I wouldn't say there's necessarily new traffic laws, except there is now zero tolerance for alcohol. I think in Canada it's 0.08 blood alcohol level, and you're over that, you get a fine. If you're under that, you're okay. Not here. It's 0.00. If you're over that, you get a fine or lose your license or maybe go to jail. I don't even know what the consequences are. But the one thing that has changed is the enforcement of these traffic laws and the amount of the fine. Now, we were out and our friend got a parking ticket because we parked by a curb that was painted yellow, I think, but I don't know. It was dark. Nobody could even see it. That was like a $150 parking ticket. Now that's extreme to me. However, this actually happened in December. And I guess a lot of people complain that the government's just after your money with all these, parking violations or traffic violations or, people speeding or reckless driving. The fines are quite high. I don't know if they all are about 150, but I'm assuming if you get 150 for a parking ticket, then if you're speeding, it's going to be something pretty substantial too. So Bukele came out and announced that, it's not a money grab for the government, but, to put that to rest, he was actually going to forgive all the fines up until whatever the date was. So anything that was before that, including my friend's parking ticket, was gone. Forget it. Never got to worry about it. However, the goal of all these, enforcing these laws have been on the books. These aren't necessarily new laws. They just weren't enforced. The goal is to make it safer to drive in the roads. And if you've ever driven here, you know that things can be wild. Like we've seen so many accidents, a lot of accidents already in the very short time we've been here. It's not like I'm on the road every day either. Like I might go a week without even getting on the road. But there are accidents, lots of accidents. There was a really bad one the other day, and it was a 70-year-old lady. And they had the video footage of this actually on the online newspaper, and she's like speeding through, and she hits one car that was, I think it was one car that was driving or 2 cars that were driving and 2 cars that were parked. And, one person died. Like she was going really fast. She was speeding, and you could tell just in the video footage how slow everyone else was going, and she comes racing came through. I don't know. It said she had medical problems, so I don't know if something happened to her while she was driving. I don't know. Anyway, she killed somebody. It was very dangerous. So having enforced laws is good. And one of the other things, if you've ever driven in El Salvador, you know that in a 2-lane road, it's actually a 3-lane road, right? Because the motorcycles drive down the middle between the cars. And from what I understand, it's only being enforced on the one highway, on the Monsignor Romero highway. But if any motorcycles are driving down the middle lane there, they're going to get stopped and fined. And I guess they did a blitz a while back where they actually just randomly stopped 200 motorcyclists to see if they had, proper documentation, whether they have a motorcycle license or whether their motorcycle is licensed and all those things. Out of the 200, 150 had some violation. Like that's 75%. So it's not like, Bukele's out there trying to make people's lives miserable or, get their money. No, he's trying to make the roads safer, which is good for everybody. Nobody wants to get killed in a car accident. This highway, the Los Churros highway, they say is the most dangerous highway. I don't know if it's only because of landslides. Maybe it's because of reckless drivers too. Or maybe it's the twists and the turns and the going down the hill, and I'm not sure. But if people were a little bit more careful driving, it definitely helps everyone, right? I don't see a problem with that. That definitely makes us all more safe and secure. Okay, adjusting to the language. Well, I enrolled my kids in public school. They're definitely adjusting to the language. They're not going to have any choice but to learn Spanish. And so far, it's going okay. I couldn't tell you anything they've learned to repeat in Spanish, but things are going well, and we're helping them with their school homework almost every night. So that's actually going really well. And then as for me, I'm volunteering at the school, and I started 2 weeks ago. So today, actually, it's my second lesson I just finished this morning. And I actually had a whole different group of people this week than last week. Last week when I got there, I was in the middle of the program that was already ongoing. So I ended up taking the place of their science class, I think. So I don't think all the kids necessarily wanted to learn English. I was just kind of thrust upon them here. Here's your new teacher. She's going to teach you English. And they're like, I didn't want to learn English. I don't know. And it's not like they're getting graded on it or whatnot. So, and I actually volunteered to go after the regular programming was done because I figured whoever wanted to stay could stay and learn English with me. Well, that's not what got communicated last week. So what the principal did, he sent out a letter to all the parents. And I only know this because I got it from Lawrence's class, although I didn't get it from Annika's teacher. Doesn't have a WhatsApp. There's no group. There's no email. There's no way to communicate with the guys. So I'm not sure how the grade 4 kids found out about it, but it was offered from the grade 4 kids up to come today to learn English with me. And what I first understood, because last week when I got there, I had one class for 40 minutes, and then I had to go to the other classroom and I had another class for 40 minutes. So I thought today I had 2 classes as well, one from 8 to 9 and one 9 to 10. So I got there and all these people were like in the little pavilion area, and the teacher who had shown me the classroom before, she came out of her classroom and I'm like, ¿Dónde está mi clase? She's like, they're all here. Okay, well, where's the room? So she got the janitor to open up a classroom for me, and then everyone came in and all their parents were there. They drove them there and they stayed there for the time that I was teaching. So I ended the class at 9 because I thought there was another class coming. When the parents asked me a couple of questions, I was like, I don't know, let's go talk to the principal, who doesn't speak English, by the way. So then I realized he thought maybe I had to leave or something. I'm like, no, I can stay, but is there like a second group? And he said, no, it's just this one group. So these are all different kids from last week, because these are kids that are not normally in school on Saturday, like none of them were in their uniforms and that kind of thing. These guys are really just beginners. Some of the kids last week had some levels. I thought maybe we'd even break them into 2 classes depending on how many beginners there were and how many intermediate, but this group really is just beginners. There's 2 people that speak some English words, we'll say, and the rest of, I don't even know how many there were this time because I didn't count them. I didn't take an attendance. I will do that next week. But I would say the class is pretty much full. So I would say 25 to 30 kids were there that their parents drug them out. And I don't know how well the word gets spread. So I'm kind of guessing after those parents talk to other parents that maybe next Saturday that classroom might be full. That's good. So it was 8 to 10. So we did that lesson. Yeah, so hopefully next week it'll be a little bit more organized. And I did some, really basic teaching with pronouns, days of the week, months of the year, numbers, how to tell time, and a few, like 3 or 4 different verbs and a whole bunch of different nouns so they can form some sentences like, what is your name? And you would reply, my name is. How old are you? And then you'd reply with your age and that kind of thing. Where do you live? And then what things do you like to do? So I like to play soccer or whatever. So that's what we did today. And I'll just build on that for next week. So now that I know it's really just beginners, I kind of have a better idea where to start. Under infrastructure and utilities. So I want to talk about the public health care in this section, because if you watch my other videos, you know that I went to a public health care clinic and I was told lots of stories. These clinics, they're all actually renamed Faux Salud. I know the government's renamed them all. I don't know if they've given them extra funding or how they went about doing that. Maybe they did. But I received, pretty good care as far as I'm concerned. I went in for a certain issue with my mosquito bites and my horrible allergic reaction to them, and they gave me medicine. They gave me 2 pills and 2 creams, and it went away. So the treatment I got actually worked. So I don't have any issues with the healthcare. Obviously, I didn't go in for surgery. I can't really give you an example on that. But what they've been doing to, improve the healthcare, they're building new hospitals. Like I said, they renamed these clinics. I don't know if they've been given extra funding, but there's no cost. It was free. The medicine was free. It was all there. I didn't have to go to a different drugstore or something afterwards to pick up the medicine. So that was super convenient, and they're very nice. Just people are just kind in general. I've had a really good experience so far. So I heard on the news yesterday, on the American news yesterday, I was listening, I don't even know who was speaking now. I think I watched 3 or 4 different programs, but they were talking about how in one of the cities in the United States, these gang members, and some of these are gang members from here, the MS-13, they went into an apartment building and they just took over the whole apartment building. And they basically said, we live here now, you don't get out. And I guess one of the guys in the apartment building had called the police. And I assume the police came, and this gang member had came to the door knocking. Did you call the police? Yes, I called the police. He goes and he cuts the guy's fingers off in one hand. He said, if you call them again, I'm going to cut the other ones off. I can't imagine living in that kind of fear for my life, my family's life, my friends' lives. And that is how it had been here for decades in this country. So you can imagine that a government or even individuals wouldn't want to invest into any sort of infrastructure, new buildings, parks, or anything when they could just be literally taken over by gangs. The gangs have only been cleaned up here for 3 years this coming March, which is a couple weeks. So a lot of this country has changed remarkably in the last 3 years. Like, I'm sure if people lived here before and came back now, they would say they don't recognize the place. And you can't expect the government to change everything immediately because there's so much to do. Like with the schools, there's 5,150 schools. They are rebuilding some schools. I've seen videos of schools that were rebuilt, but they can't rebuild all 5,000 at the same time or even the same school year. And also the kids are in school, so they need to be somewhere when a school is being rebuilt. There's just lots of stuff to do here, whether it's new hospitals being put in or these new clinics or the renamed new clinics. And the things that go along with that, right? The government processes and procedures that go along with standardizing medical practices. All of the downtown in San Salvador is being rebuilt. This is, the icon of the country. Basically, if people are coming, and bringing their tourist dollars, they want to come and see downtown San Salvador. So now there are things to go see, whether it's the library or the palace or just the square itself. It's all been rebuilt. So much so, even since we were here last year. And there's more of it being rebuilt. When we were down at Christmas time in San Salvador, you could see there was areas blocked off and they were still working in the dark at night. And we were down 9 o'clock at night. They're still out there working. There's so much to do. There's only so many hands, so much money, and so much time to go around. So you come back in a couple months, there'll be something new. Just like this highway. This highway is being rebuilt out here. Already the new lanes are opened up in parts of it. So it is all changing sort of at a rapid pace. And it's all changing for the better from what I can tell. I can't imagine living in a place where you're just afraid the gangs might come and take everything away. And to be honest, that's how we felt in Canada. That's how the government was becoming, sort of like a gang, right? They already freeze people's bank accounts and steal their money. And don't say they don't, because it actually happened to us. So that's like a thug. It's thuggery. This is why we couldn't stay in Canada anymore. More and more of those draconian measures and laws are being passed that really put the people as serfs or slaves or subjects to the kingdom of the Canadian government. And it's not like that here. I can really see that the prosperity in this country is growing because everything is different now. The gangs are gone and the government's helping to build that prosperity. Where in Canada, prosperity is dying because of all these government rules and regulations are being put into place. And this is why we came here. This is why we moved to this country, so we could give our kids a better life. I think everyone would say, I think every parent would say, that they hope to have a better future for their kids than they had when they were growing up. And I think probably here more than ever, because the parents here, if you've been living here all this time, you've had probably some pretty humble beginnings. And now you see the prosperity around the corner and you want what's best for your kids. And that's one reason why we came here too, because I want the best for my kids. This is why I'm volunteering to teach English to the kids, because they will have better career options if they have a second language. I think all of us working together are going to make El Salvador an amazing country. It's just going to take a little time. It can't all happen overnight. So reflecting on our journey, one of the things I learned over the last 2 weeks of teaching English is that I'm improving my Spanish while teaching English because I have to tell the kids to do something. And if I just say it in English, it's like the deer in the headlights, totally not understanding me. So I have to go on my phone, translate something, and then I have to say it. And if I don't say it correctly, then they correct me. So it's actually helping me learn some more Spanish And today, one of the things I had said to them, because they weren't all really excited about, standing up and speaking out loud. So one of the things I had said to them, I translated it and then I said it to them. And what it is in English was, who was more brave? Me coming here speaking Spanish in front of 35 kids, or you getting up and speaking English in front of me? Because I have a lot more people that could, correct me or criticize me or laugh at me, my pronunciation. Whereas when one of them gets up and speaks, it's only truly me that can tell them if they've done it right or wrong. I'm there to teach them. I'm not there to, laugh at them, right? So this is what I find is really interesting is I'm learning a lot more Spanish by teaching English. Isn't that funny? I also learned that people who spent, some or all their lives under some severe oppression are some of the nicest people and kindest people in the world. We're all humans in the pursuit of happiness. And if you treat people like you want to be treated, the golden rule, then things are going to work out well for everybody. Actually, what I told the children first thing this morning was, I'm going to tell you the two most important words in the English language. And I wrote please and thank you on the board and told them what they were in Spanish so they would know. But this is true. When you are kind and polite and caring, the world will be a better place, no matter what country you live in, really. And on that note, I will say thank you for watching and supporting our channel. And if you'd like to give to our fundraiser, I'll put the link in the description below. One of the things I want to do is reach out to the mayor of San Juan Pico to see if there's some extra funding in the municipal budget that can be used for the school parking lot. So if anyone can help me find out how to get to the mayor's office, whether it's the website or, an address, telephone number, something like that, that would be great. Please leave that in the comments below. Thank you for joining us on our journey. I'll be doing these monthly updates every month around the 20th. And if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. I read every one of them. And we'll see you in the next one.
Don't forget to hit the like button.